gratitude,
Thank you for joining Chats Along the Path
cleaning,
with discussions about the 7
nature,
transformative practices of the 7-Way
walking,
Path. I'm Christian of Standing Stones
journaling,
Healing, inviting you to heal,
ritual,
grow, and transform with the 7-Way Path.
silence,
Thank you for walking the
gratitude,
path, and best wishes for your
cleaning,
journey.
nature.
Welcome to this episode of Chats Along the Path. In this episode, we are speaking with Sally Carmichael. Sally is a Usui Reiki Ryoho practitioner and budding meditation instructor, otherwise known as an insightful friend with a bunch of experience, passion, and curiosity about your own meditation practice. She has been practicing Reiki and meditation for over 20 years, is a member of Shibumi International, and holds a certificate in Okuden Reiki Level 2. Sally lives in eastern Melbourne, Australia, where she runs her in-person practice, Cosmic River, and believes strongly in SAS, and that life is far too important to take too seriously. Sally is here to talk with us about silence, specifically the power of meditation. Sally, welcome to Chats Along the Path. So honored to have you here. Thank you.
Thanks, Christian. I feel so, wow, yeah, it's amazing to hear you say that out loud, and it sounds so real.
Oh, well, thank you so much. So honored to have you here. So, Sally, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll move into talking about your meditation practice and the power of meditation.
Yeah, great. Where do I start? I guess I've been, as you said, I've been practicing Reiki and meditation for about 20 years, but that's been on and off. So I guess in the last couple of years, I've really been really drawn towards practice again, as a real big part of my life, which has changed my life, of course, which is pretty cool. I guess those things have been part of my life for some time. I didn't mention, I've got a very deep voice. I'm like a trans woman, and I just mentioned that I've got a very, very deep voice. So if you're just wondering what's going on. I guess, I've been sort of meditating since I was quite young. Probably when I was 18, something like that, I think was when I started. My mum was a really big influence on me. She was delving into yoga and meditation and sort of self-help books and stuff like that. And my family, I guess, because of that kind of influence, has always been a bit spiritual, So I'm really lucky to have that, that sort of that grounding, I guess. That I knew the world, this is the way the world can be. I guess it gave me a space to be curious. I've always been quite curious, and seeing these books lying around, my mum's books, I'm like, let's have a read of that. What's that about? So I feel really lucky, actually, that was the case. And I guess just I've always been, as an adult, I'm quite at times extroverted, but as a child I was quite introverted, and I was very sensitive, and I would just spend a lot of time in my own little space, I guess. And I guess I used to play with things, and just like, I learned, I guess, when I was young, that I could focus my attention in different parts of my body, and I could freeze my thoughts maybe, and like see what's going on with my thoughts and stuff like that. So I guess playing in that internal world has always been part of my experience, and I really love that. I think that's something that I love about meditation and Reiki, is really just seeing what can go on inside our own world when we just take a look, or get curious and experiment, you know. But yeah, I was really drawn to want to try yoga because my mum had talked about it, stuff like that, and I discovered the yoga nidra, which is lying down. It's called the corpse pose, or shavasana, and yeah, discovered just that powerful stillness, just lying in the body, in the self, and seeing what happens. Just letting go completely. It's just, yeah, completely just abandoning all control as much as possible. Yeah, it was very, very instructive. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess when I was a bit older, I discovered mindfulness, mindfulness meditation. I found this meditation instructions in the Tibet Book of Living and Dying, if you know that book. And that, I was like, okay, I'll give this a go. And I started doing it every day for, half an hour or something. And after about 3 weeks, or a few weeks, whatever it was, I just had this experience of, well, I didn't know what it was, but I suddenly I was outside my head, and I just had this knowing that I was much more than I realized. I was this greater me. And it was like I had this insight into my own existence. I was much, much more than I felt like I was part of the universe, maybe, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think those experiences have been very formative for me, and I'm so passionate about like wanting to share that. I just really want to, help others experience that, or even start a practice, because one of the things, the troubles I've had is like, as an getting older and having kids and a career, and how do I like keep these things in my life and all balance in inverted commas. Yeah, and so at a time, I said I practiced these things on and off, and that's really true, because I would, I knew the value of these things, but I would, I would get into it, and I'd really benefit from it for a couple of weeks, and then it'd drift off, and I go, and then I come back to it. I'm like, damn, why did I stop that? And then I actually got to at one point, I must have got quite jaded, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to start, because I don't want to have the disappointment of stopping. That's where it got to, which is kind of sad. But I guess I just felt like it was just a bit of a bit painful in some ways to not be able to balance this in my life. But then I started again recently, in about 2 years ago. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this a go. And I started off really small, and I'm like, something that had worked for me at times was to start a habit, was just to start really small, or to tie the habit into like some other habit. Like if I'm brushing my teeth, then I could maybe tie the meditation habit into that, or leave a reminder on my bed. So when I brush my teeth, I come into bed and I'm like, I got to meditate. That's right. So I just use little tricks like that. And I just started with 5 minutes. And I did the 5 minutes every day. And if I couldn't do the 5 minutes, I would just go through the motions of setting it up and hitting the timer and then stopping it and going to bed because I was way too tired. So I would just at least just go through the motions, which I felt like was just conditioning that, at least the habit, even if I wasn't meditating. And that really worked for me. Yeah, it really worked. And I started listening to this, my Zen teacher. She has a podcast. I don't actually have a Zen teacher, but I call her my Zen teacher. And she said the same thing in one of her episodes. She's like, just start disappointingly low. Just start almost, what's the smallest thing you can commit to? It might be 5 minutes a week, and just do that. Don't start big. Just do the smallest thing you can, and that it's just so powerful. It's like lighting a match, isn't it? It's like lighting a fire from a match. It's just in time. It's suddenly like now I meditate every day, pretty much, just about every day, and it's just part of my life. So I don't feel like I'm a expert at meditation, but I'm really passionate, and I have some tools to help people, or at least open up that discussion and talk with people about how can we make this something in your life, or how can you just explore it for a while and be done with it, and then come back to it maybe. Wow, that was a lot of talking.
That was great, Sally. Thank you so much. And a few things really stood out to me in that. Number one, it sounds like you were a pretty advanced child. So
I don't know about advanced, but I did experiment.
yes, that's wonderful. And I love this, how you were meditating and then taking a break and then meditating and taking a break. And you finally said, that's it. I'm getting back into this. Sally, what was it that made you say, that's it. I'm getting back into this?
Yeah, that's a good question. What was it? That's a really good question. I think going back to that time, I was encouraged by, my day job currently, still as an engineer who works in software. And my company has been quite encouraging with meditation and mindfulness. And I think, I think it was a bit of a confluence of things, really, like a really coming together. I think it was my time that brought me, the meditation was like just the door crack opening to the life that is starting to unfold. Excuse me. So I think I was just drawn to really just try and, having been encouraged at work and doing more meditation, I just felt like, what, I'm going to give this a go again. And then, I had this, I started having, because things are unfolding, I started having some spiritual discussions with people. And it was really starting to light that fire up again. Because I to be honest, I've kind of moved away from that part of my life. Because, over time, I'd kind of drifted away in many ways and drifted a bit from Reiki practice and that sort of thing. So, I was starting to have these conversations. There was some stirring going on inside, some change coming that was stirring things up, ready to start unfolding. And that really got me curious again, and I started, I was having this time of like questioning my old ideas about spirituality, and these kind of even conflicting kind of ideas that I kind of was sort of balancing in my head, these different ideas. And I came to this time of questioning all that and working through it and resolving some of that stuff and letting a bunch of stuff go, and at the same time wanting to then explore. And that's when I'd successfully created this habit, which was really great. I was really proud of that, actually. And from that gave me the sort of the place to leap off. And then I'm like, I want to have like that experience I had years ago. I want to have that again, but I want to have the, the most profound experience I can without, using psychedelics. And so I'm like, okay, well, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to meditate for 30 minutes every day. I'm going to do the same thing again that I did years ago. I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes a day for 3 weeks. And that's it. And at the end, I'll be done. And if I want to continue, I can, but at least I'll just commit to these 3 weeks. And that'll be that. And it's fine either way. I don't have to worry about it. I'm just committing to that. I don't have to worry about it for the rest of my life. I used to be like, oh, I need to do this practice for the rest of my life. How can I ever do that? It doesn't work like that. So anyways, do 3 weeks. And I did. Oh my God, I did. It happened. I feel like if my friend, she's really close. We're really like spiritually, in tune. I feel like she might have helped me a little bit somehow, but I don't know. Anyway, I had some just really connected. Just put it that way, yeah. Just beautiful experiences. Oh God, and just these experiences, they just open to everybody. God, it's just so great. Yeah, I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful, Sally. Thank you. Sally, I definitely have lots more questions, but just hearing you talk about these experiences, I'm wondering if you can enlighten us in a sense and tell us about what these experiences are like for you, and even how you find that you are arriving at these, I'm going to call them expansive kind of
Mm,
experiences.
yeah. Ooh. Um, I mean, I feel a bit emotional talking about it, actually. Yeah, I think, it doesn't necessarily take that long to start noticing a difference. I mean, I guess it's different for everyone, and you need to kind of have that in mind. So I want to be careful about talking about my experiences because it is different for everybody. And I don't want, people should, we all have our own journey, our own and our own way of experiencing the world, and we have to find what works for us. And we may not always have these experiences, and that's okay. We don't want to get too attached to these experiences either. Like that. This is the point of meditation. It's kind of, there's a saying that I think, I hope I get this right. Enlightenment is like having an accident, but meditation increases your chances of having an accident. Yeah, yeah. So it is an accident. I think it comes when it comes. That awareness, but just, I guess, just doing a mindfulness meditation consistently for even a couple of weeks, you just you're just here. You're just here in this, oh, this moment. it's not even a moment, is it? Because you don't need words to even describe the moment, but everything around you can be sacred and beautiful, you know. I think that's just the highest, or the most valuable like experience in life. I feel for me is just um, uh, when I'm there, you know, I'm able to experience uh, just what's around me and see its own Buddha nature, you know, and know that I'm part of this, you know, I'm a seamless part of this universe, you know. I'm not separate. That's only an idea. I'm part of the wallpaper, you know. uh, when I look at like around me and I see a tree or a rock or a house, you know, and it looks like, you know, it's part of the universe. Well, I am too. It's only an idea that I'm not, and other people see me, and I'm part of their, you know, their seamless universe. Yeah, yeah, just seeing into this present is just so, yeah, it's just so beautiful. And it's always here. And yeah, I guess you know, just had this most beautiful experience one morning after, you know, meditating for a few weeks. And it's just that, you know, I think, you know, a lot of us have probably had these kind of experiences. And just I was just walking, you know, through the little forest area, bush area near my home, and yeah, just suddenly, you know, it's really sunny morning, and you know, it just came over me, and it's just this presence of this utmost presence, and everything's silent, you know, there's no dialogue running, and it's like everything comes into focus, you know, and it's just, you're just so here. It's like being a child. It was like being a child again, you know. That's the only thing I could liken it. It was like being a child, and just this luminosity, you know, just this luminosity to everything. It's just wonderful. Like, if that's the only time I experienced that in this one life, then what a gift. God, it's just it, because I know it's still there. The beauty of it is I know that that's always here, even if I don't see it. Um, yeah, I'd love other people to, you know, to open that door. Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's lovely, Sally. You know, this truth that even if we don't see it, it's there. And if we catch a little glimpse of it, that's enough to realize that and to allow that to be something that we know is true, even if it's not something that we see or experience all of the time. That's lovely, Sally. Thanks so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Yeah. So, Sally, you had said that you said, I'm going to try this for 3 weeks. And you were at the end of those 3 weeks, wow, I did it for the 3 weeks. And then what kept you going past those 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, once I'd done it, well, I mean, it was it just became part of my day, you know. I just and I and the I guess just the when you can see you just start to rely on it, you know. You start to really rely on it as a practice, and you can see that it got, you know, like it's not even a struggle to really to have to, oh God, I gotta go and meditate. Oh, I better go and meditate. It's not like that at all. It's like, oh, when can I meditate? How long can I meditate for? Oh, Yeah, I think that's really nice if you can get to that. Yeah. But I think the thing I want to say there is, there's a lot of ways to meditate right up there, and meditating can be, like, yeah, like you play the flute. Wow. And you can crochet and do knitting, or you can ride a bike, or go for a walk. You can do shavasana lying down. You can do qigong, um, do a jigsaw, whatever it is that whatever it is that works for people. And there's different reasons. There's different I should say techniques, or intentions, or things we're trying to do in meditation. Like even in mindfulness meditation, you have focused meditation where you're focusing on something. Like it could be the breath, or a pee, or it could be your feeling within your body, and you just, whenever your mind is your thought, you're getting away in your thoughts or sounds, and just bringing yourself back to that focus. That's one way of meditating, and that's really powerful. It can be. But there's other ways to meditate. There's also I practice a practice called shikantaza, which is, I think it translates as, in it's Japanese, it translates as just sitting precisely so. And this is like the main practice of the Soto Zen Buddhist school in Japan. And it's just, the instructions are like, I can't remember them offhand, but they're like, sit down in the lotus position or cross-legged or whatever it is, and have the spine sit active sort of position, and place the hands in the cosmic mudra, I think is part of it. And that's it. There's nothing else. There's nothing. That's it. Once you're there, that's the practice. And there's no particular focus. And it's very powerful practice as well. It's not a focus. We're not like focusing on anything in particular. But through it, we come to know like our own consciousness, and we can integrate in ways that are just startling. Like, for me, I'm really drawn to that practice, because I just really love just sitting. It's just that sitting, and just being. Yeah. So, and then there's shavasana, where you're lying, and you're just letting go, and like shikantaza is done with the eyes open as well. So we don't have to do it with the eyes closed, and having the eyes open is another way to meditate and be present, really present. But when we do shavasana, we're in our own universe, aren't we? And experiencing that inner universe. So anyway, there's a lot of ways to meditate, and the point I was getting to is people might not have an affinity with one type of meditation. So it's if maybe it's just not working. So I think it's nice to like know that, and then find what works, because everybody just have to find their own way, right? Yeah.
Lovely, Sally. That's great. And I love that. The practice of just sitting. I mean, it doesn't get any simpler than that, right? You just sit.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah,
Great.
it's great.
So, Sally, what tips do you have for people who are interested in starting or maybe getting back into their meditation practice? You know, one thing that you had mentioned previously that I thought was really helpful is having reminders for yourself or like a trigger, like you're going to brush your teeth and then, oh, that's the cue. As a matter of fact, Sally, that's mine.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool.
yes, yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, is that I meditate every morning, and I not in the too far past in the past few months, my schedule in the morning has changed a little bit, such that it has gotten a bit my morning routine's gotten a bit longer. And so what that has meant is that my meditation has been thrown out of whack, and I was finding getting myself off track with it. And I was like, okay, that's it. I need something to trigger it for me. It's brushing my teeth. So as soon as
Yeah,
I brush my teeth, that's it. That's my cue to go meditate. So
that's great.
thanks, Sally, for mentioning
I
that.
love it. That's so great. No, I love that that's worked for you too.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes I'll leave like it's like leaving little traps for yourself, you know. Leave maybe I'll stack something on top of the kettle or something like that. Says, oh, that's right, I was going to meditate, or I'll leave something at the front door, or I'll put a reminder on my phone or something. Yeah. Um. Yeah. I think it's good to think about. I think it's good to think about what our preconceived notions of meditation are too. Because I think if if we haven't done meditation, there's a lot of kind of cultural kind of stories about what meditation is, and you see kind of movies, and you see it in you might hear about and come up with notions about what meditation, what you're doing in meditation. And some of those things can be, a little bit erroneous. Like we don't like one of them is like that we're clearing our mind, and we're not really doing that. Actually, we're not in meditation. We're not actually like the aim isn't actually to. Well, I don't think it is to get a still mind. If we have a still mind, that's really nice. That's a nice experience. But our internal weather is different every day, and through the day. So in the focused meditation, what we do is we we sit and we have our focus, and we focus on it, and then our attention drifts away. We have some thoughts, we hear something, we get caught up, but then we notice that we've been drifting away. And when we do that, then we come back to the focus, and then we might happen again. We might only do that, come back once during the whole session, and it can get a little like tense, because it's like, oh no, I wanted to meditate for 30 minutes, and I kind of wasted it. But it's not wasted at all. None of that is wasted. Any time you spend in meditation, it happens. Like I didn't sleep very well last night. I found it difficult to meditate this morning. And it just happens. It's fine. But it's important to know and start to understand what the technique is, and not assume that we have to clear our mind, or we have to relax really deeply, or whatever. We are our own teachers in meditation. We can only take as much as we can from others, but we have to teach ourselves and find out what works for us. But yeah, it's important to not think that it has to be one thing when it's not like that at all. I think that's the point I'm trying to make. Yeah, and I've got some, I call them my pre-flight instructions for meditation. Um, and that's one of them, is that, if we're doing a focused meditation, then when we get caught up and we come back to our focus, that's when the work of meditation is actually done. So that's great. And if you notice, when you notice that you've been caught up and you come back, it's good to be kind to yourself and go, oh, great, I actually noticed. And be grateful for that, rather than, because it's easy to go like, oh no, and get upset that you've been caught up. But it's actually good. It's really good, because that's how mindfulness works. So when you do notice and then come back, it's nice to be grateful for that and be like, right. It's really encouraging, I think, internally. And I think, that rests on, I think for me, like meditation is really about self-compassion at the core. We're actually doing, we're practicing self-compassion, which is, we're practicing self-care, giving ourselves a rest, and we're helping overcome the kind of some of the junk that we can accumulate in life, and some of the patterns, I guess. So there's that, and then just being careful with the self as well. Like a thing I like to sort of bring up as well is that we need to be careful. Well, no, not to create fear either. But when we meditate, we're diving into our pool, the pool of ourselves. And down in that pool is a lot of stuff that we've accumulated in life. And that stuff's going to start getting stirred up when it's going to float to the surface. We might find some things we're uncomfortable with. If we've gone through trauma or have really serious trauma, that stuff can, we might have found ways through life to kind of grow over that, and cope with life. But meditation can open that up and open those wounds up. So we do need to take care, but not to, as I said, not to create fear. But if stuff is coming up, we need to have support mechanisms or support people in place, to reach out to, or even if it's just journaling. Not just journaling. I shouldn't say just journaling, because journaling is really powerful, as you keep telling us. It's so great. But yeah, having that support, thinking about having that support, is another way of doing self-care. Just being aware that, it can be tough. Meditation can be tough at times because we're facing that stuff. Yeah, so there was a few little tips.
Those are great tips, Sally, and I especially appreciate that last tip. That things can come up when we meditate, and to be aware of that, and like you said, to be gentle with ourselves. So that is great advice, Sally. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. And I just lastly, like, I think I like, I love explore. Like, I love just exploring, and I think exploring, there's many reasons to come to meditate. Like we want less stress, or we want to cope more, or grow as people, or whatever. And that's, I love all that. But I also love just exploring, coming to it with curiosity. And if I just meditate like this for 3 weeks, well, what happens? Let's give it a try. Let's just try it, see what happens. Yeah, I think that's a nice place to start. Yeah.
Yes, that's a wonderful place to start, Sally. Thank you for that.
um, should we do a little meditation? We got
Yes,
time for that? Just
I
a
think
5
that
minute
would be
one?
wonderful. Please, let's.
Awesome. So my favorite meditation at the moment is called Joshin Kokyuho. I'm rattling on about it all over social media. But yeah, uh it's a Japanese meditation from the system of Reiki, the Japanese system of Reiki. And in the Japanese system, the gut center is really important. I think it comes from that Taoist, cosmology. The gut center is, or the hara, is it's our center of, it's actually our center of power. And it's where martial artists draw their strength from, that center. And it represents our earthly earth energy and our original energy. And just, I just invite people to have a look at the hara and see what's there, because for me it's been really powerful. So we'll get into the meditation, and the point of the meditation is about cultivating that center and one's own connection with the universe. So I'll just set my timer. So this is for 5 minutes. Just a sec. Oh. Technology. Okay, cool. So what we do is we're going to just, if we're, you can do this sitting or lying down. So if you're sitting, you want to sit in a kind of an active sit. So, you could be sitting on a meditation cushion or on a chair. And in either situation, you want to sit so that you can sit actively for the time you're allowed for this meditation, which you can do from 5 minutes to an hour or whatever you want, really. So we sit in an active position, so the spine kind of straight. What we can do is just roll our shoulders back, nice big circles, just to open up the chest and the heart space, and let the shoulders sit back. And then if we imagine there's a string attached to the top of our head, and that string is just pulling us up from the top of the head, stretching the spine and the jaw, the chin coming towards the throat, and stretching, and then just settling back down into that nice, active but relaxed, poised position. And we just briefly scan the body and just feel into the feet. Feel the contact with the floor. And just feel the bum touching the chair, and the sensation of the air on our skin. And if you're comfortable with this, you can bring your hands into Gasso, prayer position, to start the meditation. And then bring the hands down to rest on the thighs. And so we're just going to sit, let the eyes close down, and start to notice the breath. The breath coming in. The breath leaving. Wherever our attention comes to. It might be the tip of the nose, where the breath cools the tip of the nose as it comes in. or it might be the diaphragm. And just let us have ease with the breath as much as possible. Let the breath breathe. And start to bring our attention down to the gut center. Our hara sits approximately 3 finger widths below the navel and back towards the spine. We bring our attention down to that spot. And as we breathe in, we're going to breathe into the diaphragm and carried on that air coming in is chi. So we're breathing in chi and we're breathing it down into the hara. So breathing in chi down into the diaphragm, down into the hara. Breathing out, breathing in, down into the hara, breathing that chi down into the hara and charging it. And on the next breath, breathing in that chi down into the hara. And as you breathe out, start to expand that energy out through the body. So breathing in chi, down into the hara, then expanding that energy out through the body, and start to expand it out through the skin, back into the room. Breathing in, charging the hara, then expanding that energy out, expanding it out into the universe. And if the mind wanders, just bringing the attention back to breathing in, charging the hara, breathing out, expanding out, the energy out through the body and out through the skin, back into the universe. And just gently coming back to the present. Maybe having a little stretch. Having a nice, refreshing breath. And allowing the eyes to open when you're ready. And that's kind of Josh and Kokyu energy breath method.
Wow, that was great, Sally. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. So thank you very much.
No problem.
Yes, yes. That felt great. That felt really
Yeah,
great. Yes.
awesome. Yeah, it's such a beautiful practice, and it's quite nourishing. It actually becomes quite nourishing energetically and in our life. I find, yeah. Mm.
Mm, wonderful. So, Sally, before we go, is there anything else that you would like to say? Anything else that you would like to share with us? And finally, where can people get in touch with you if they would love to continue the conversation with you about meditation?
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I actually wrote something about 20 5 years ago, I realized, and it stuck with me. I was doing some automatic kind of writing or intuitive stream of thought writing, and I asked my intuition, what's the meaning of life? Oh, it's quite young. And I write, the meaning of life is to find a pond rippling in the waves. And I feel really proud to bring that back because it stayed with me, and I really see it now. It really, meditation, that's what meditation does for me. It creates this pond gently rippling amongst the waves of life, it just gives me that space. I just wanted to share that. And if people want to get into contact with me, so www.cosmicriverhealing.com is my website. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Cosmic River Healing. That's probably the easiest way. Yep. Thank you.
Wonderful, Sally. Thank you. And all of those links are below. If anyone would like to get in touch with you, follow you, reach out, and even share their experiences with meditation with you.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, thank you. And including the practice that you just led us through. So, Sally, thank you for that beautiful gift. And thank you for the beautiful gift of your wisdom, knowledge, and expertise on this topic.
My pleasure.
Yes. And thank you all so very much for listening. We appreciate you joining us for this chat along the path, sending blessings and best wishes to your journey. Gratitude. Thanks for tuning in to this chat along the path. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for walking the path. Cleaning, blessings, and best wishes for your journey. Journaling, ritual, silence.